welcome Miss Angela Staton-King.
People have their own perceptions of me, but me, I'm Angie.
You refer to Shauna as her respected pronoun.
Because I didn't give birth to them. So let me say something. So
do you not feel protected from Jay?
No.
One follow-up question, just in terms of clarity. When you say this is my belief, does that mean the conversation is over with?
You ready to move on?
Now, let's get to chatting. This is Chasin Chat with your host, Shauna Brooks, Conscious Lee, Darren, Kentrail, and Reese G.
So let's all welcome Miss Angela Staton-King. Yeah.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yes. So let's go into our first question. First of all, Angela, just introduce yourself to our audience. Give us a little brief background about who you are.
I mean, people have their own perceptions of me, but me, I'm Angie. You know, I'm a mother. I'm someone that, you know, grew up in the Black community. You know, I've spent some time in prison. I've experienced, you know, a lot of what we refer to as the Black struggle. And I just use my experience and the knowledge and the wisdom that I've gained over the years to just try to make a difference. So, you know, I started my own publishing company. I've made it all the way to the White House to be able to work with Trump's administration, you know, to not only pass the First Step Act, but to pass other laws, you know, and to fight for real economic empowerment for communities of color. So I'm also an author, and I do a lot of work in the community that a lot of people don't know about because I don't always talk about it and I'm not always bragging about it, but I've definitely been a community advocate for the past 15 years.
Fabulous. So moving right into our first question. So there's been a lot of buzz surrounding you and your viewpoints on politics. We do know that former President Donald Trump did give you a full pardon. And so your political viewpoints and your personal standings have always been very strong in their own right. What do you do to just decompress from everything?
I think I'm kind of used to it by now because if anybody is familiar with who I am and my story, you guys know a while back when I first came out with my story in regards to Phaedra Parks and Apollo, I was up under a lot of pressure then, and I was up under a lot of slander in the media, and I was up under a lot of attacks by people that just read a article online somewhere and just based an opinion about me based off of someone else's opinion. And people didn't have a chance to really get to know me until they actually saw me on, you know, From the Bottom Up. And, you know, people start watching me and following me to see who I really am as a person. So I think that some of the backlash that I receive now in regards to my viewpoints are all based off of someone else's opinion that hasn't really taken the time to find out, you know, what's really going on or who this person really is. Okay. So I'm used to it.
Cool. That's a lot to get used to.
But how do you decompress?
You know, I write. I have the publishing company. I just released a book. I'm always writing books. Like I've tracked my life from, you know, when I was in prison, of course, Life Beyond These Walls. I wrote that book when I walked around prison every day, got out of prison. Life of a Real Housewife. After the $30 million lawsuit with Phaedra, I wrote Dismissed with Prejudice. And then now after Trump caught in the coup, so I write, and that's how I decompress. And I just think that it's important for me to document my experiences and share them.
Yeah, well, we know that maturity is a great catalyst in the public, being in the public eye. Just a question in terms of understanding. When it comes to your professional opinion, how do you feel in terms of people conflating your personal opinion with your professional opinions?
You know, I don't know if my personal and my professional really defer too much. I think they're kind of aligned in a lot of ways. Shauna tell you, and I know she gets a lot of heat, and people like, Shauna, why you always cheering for Angie? And she say this, but Shauna knows me, and Shauna knows that I'm a person where I'm just the same. I never switch up. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's in profession, whether it's, personal, whatever, I'm still the same Angie, and I believe what I believe, and I stand on what I stand on.
Okay. So just for clarity question, you saying that professionally and personally, it's a lot of consistency there and ain't really much deviation.
Well, for me, professionally, my job has always been like me. I get to write. That's my profession, and I'm writing about my life, so I don't have to switch up for that. Or when I was filming a reality show, they're following me around just for being me. So that's my profession. And when I'm working in the White House with Trump, I'm going in there and sharing my story about my experience. So I'm still being me. So I've been put in a position where my profession allows me to be me, and it's a wonderful thing.
It's real. Appreciate it, definitely.
Gotcha. And speaking of President Trump, when you were pardoned by him in February of 2020, the pardon pretty much gave you a clean slate, which is kind of like a start over to a new life, to pretty much take your activism for people of color to another level. Being a Republican publicly, do you have a sense of loyalty to President Trump for that?
Well, I'm always going to be grateful to President Trump for giving me a full pardon. I mean, why wouldn't I be? I mean, let's just be real. But he has not. And here's the thing, right? We look at things differently. Like I view President Trump differently from most people because I've had a chance to actually sit across the table with him. I've had a chance to have conversations with him. I've had a chance to share my ideas with him and see him act on some of the recommendations that I have made. So to me personally, there is no reason why I would not trust him, because anything that I've ever gone to him with, and this is just being real, right? I've seen him act on it, and I've seen him try to improve it based off of my suggestions. So I have no reason to not support him or to, try to write some type of slanderous tell-all book to just come up. Like, I'm really grateful for what he did and what I was able to be a part of.
So no Stormy Daniels.
Oh no, Stormy. Did Stormy have to pay that money back? What's going on with Storm? Now we'll get into that later on, but let's go.
So I just to kind of piggyback off of that. So because former President Donald Trump has always been in the news for being criticized as being, somewhat a leader of white supremacists, somewhat a leader of the KKK, and with you being in support of him, due to what he's done for you and also your political party, what do you say to those people? Because you've said it before, but what do you say to those people that are always saying that he is who his followers are?
Well, again, that goes back to what I'm saying about how I view him and how other people view him, because we were just talking about the media, and we were talking about when I first came out with my story about Phaedra Parks. And if anybody goes back and research, I was nothing more than a liar. I was a criminal. I was just looking for 15 minutes of fame, and come to find out I was actually telling the truth. So I've had a chance to actually get to know the president and his administration outside of reading something that I saw in the media or listening to what someone had to say. One of the reasons why I was questionable about who Trump was because you guys know I'd been a huge Housewives fan, a part of the whole fiasco, but Nene was always talking about a Trump check, and there was Celebrity Apprentice when all of the housewives were on the show, and Lil Jon from the East Side Boys, and he was always with Michael Jackson and Mike Tyson. And I just remembered the Trump that everybody loved. So when he ran for president, and then there was this new agenda in the media that kind of like portrayed him as a racist, to me, I was just like, why now? It has all seemed questionable. And it just reminded me of how I was treated when I came out with my story. And I just know how the media likes to control and manipulate the way that we think.
Do you think that was because he was a businessman? He was known as a very successful businessman, as opposed to not having any of the, I guess, quote unquote, decorum or any of the Is that American people?
Well, the thing about Trump is that he wasn't a puppet and he couldn't be bought, right? He didn't play to the tune of their beat. So when you come to people that are career politicians, and we see it all the time, even with the current, and I don't call him the president, but Joe Biden, somebody that had been in office for 47 years. And I mean, you see these, it's like, when do you begin to allow to give other people a chance to get into politics and make a difference? So if these people are inside of Congress and we're fighting every year for things to change and they never change, and then here comes someone who's not playing by the tune of their beat and not a politician and disrupting everything that they have going on, right? Because they have a system, and we know that politics are corrupt, and we know that some people are bought. And I don't have to say any names or anything like that, but Trump was totally against everything that they ever designed. His thing was put America first, and I just never in the history of my life ever seen so much hate for one person.
Okay, so is there a reason why you don't call him President Joe Biden the president of the United States?
Do you really want me to go there now, Shauna? Is we being politically correct tonight, or can I be Angie from the hood, or you want Angie from Newsmax? Let me know which one you want.
I want you to answer the question
of
why you
the same reason why a lot of people didn't want to recognize Trump as president. I think a lot of people said that they called him 45, and they had the right to do that. So I'm going to call Joe Biden 46. I don't, some of the agendas that they're pushing in regards when it comes to children, and I'm sure we're going to get into that. I don't want to jump too far, but I don't support it. And that's why I just don't recognize him as a leader of this nation. But I'm not in denial, okay? Some people were actually in denial. I'm not in denial, okay? I know who he is, but he's not going to force me to say it, and that's just that.
Okay. I just wanted to get your standpoint. That's all.
Okay.
So, Ms. Angela, so with the First Step Act, you were a part of making sure a woman that was incarcerated would never be handcuffed to another hospital bed ever again. Did you receive any praise or support for that effort from the Black community?
I think that for the people that knew what I had done, and for the people that knew my story and knew that Donald Trump made that illegal because of my experience, I think that they absolutely appreciated me. But you have to remember how much my voice was suppressed. Like, you're not going to go out there online and see any articles written that Angela Staton, changed the law for women chained to the bed during giving childbirth. You're going to see that Angela Staton is anti-LGBTQ. She's a bigot. She's transphobic. So how can you get that information if it's not being released, and if they are painting a picture that I'm everything other than exactly what it is and who it is that I am?
So why are we not highlighting? Why are we not amplifying? Why are we not lifting? Why are we not educating? Why are we not spewing out where you could be your own voice and vessel for your own? Because I honestly, a lot of people don't know that I know you personally, right? So I have a different standpoint when it comes to that topic of what you contribute to that and the reasonings and the passion behind that. And I know what incarceration did for you and did to you. You get what I'm saying? So I think if you were able to speak for your own self, people could really understand the philanthropy side of Angela Stanton. People could really actually see the political, legislative, awareness, and for women in general, not just women of color, but
that's my intelligent marketing guru genius Shauna that's coming out, right? So that's the Shauna that I know and I love, right? An absolute genius when it comes to things of that nature. And I think that for me, I've told it, I've written a book about it. There are a couple of articles out there that you have to dig for, and it's like, that's a hurdle that I overcame, and I accomplished that. And it's like, now I'm moving on to the next thing, right? I don't always talk about, winning a lawsuit against Phaedra, right? So that's not something that I always talk about. I don't always talk about being a national best-selling author. It's not something I always talk about, even though there are things that I've done. And like you say, maybe I should talk about those things more.
Absolutely.
But sometimes I just feel like it's like more of boasting and trying to throw things in people's face.
But are never a boast.
Well, why don't you just be the manager then, Shauna? How many times we got to keep going back and forth about this? Now, you know, I got a million things going. Help me out.
Well, you know, I'm gonna say Shauna could definitely do it, but you know how much that would definitely shake with her being trans, and people always say.
But see, that's the thing. That's what we have to get to the point to understand that everybody can have an opinion without it being hate, right? I should be able to have an opinion and say that I don't agree, right, with my son transitioning because, for one, I'm his mama. Okay, I should have that right, just being his mother, to say I don't agree. Now, it's disrespectful to people to make it seem as if that I don't love my son. No, absolutely I do. I know plenty of gay men that know that they are men, and I think that there is a difference. Now, that's my opinion when it comes to my child, right? I think that I also should not have to be forced to recognize a man as a woman. Now, let me tell you something about why me and Shauna get along. Me and Shauna get along because Shauna has never, ever tried to hide or deceive who she truly was, right? There's no deception going on. You know exactly who Shauna is. You know what's going on with Shauna. We don't have any beef. Shauna has her beliefs, her rights. I also have mine. Shauna knows that I don't have to be forced to call her a woman, right? And she can respect me and my belief not to want to do that, just like I can respect hers. Now, me and Shauna have been friends for a very, very, very long time. Shauna knows that, you know, there have been some things in her past and her lifestyle that I absolutely do not agree with, condone, right? Or feel like I want to be a part of. But guess what? She's grown. That's my friend. That's where we cannot agree, but we can still come together on where we do agree. And I think that that's the issue here. And everybody wants to be respected for having an opinion or having a belief. But when someone doesn't have the same opinion or belief that you do, then it's hate. And that's not fair.
Okay, so thank you for clearing that up. Okay. Now, here's the issue that I'm having with how the public, when you are a public figure, you and I both go through this. This is why you and I actually understand each other, because we are both two controversial types of individuals where there's no definitive measure in difference between your personality and your brand overall aesthetics, right? For being the public figure for who you are, because you've lived in your truth, right? From the beginning, from the Phaedra Parks, from doing this, you know, from the books to best-selling, all of these things that unapologetically make you stand righteous in your truth with being afforded literally winning at life. Everything you have done, you've won. You know what I mean? So to speak, with all of your successes in entrepreneurial, you know, endeavors. Whenever I get into a debacle, you know, I used to be a train wreck on my social media. Like, I mean, cussing hoes out left and right, dogging. If they were to disrespect me, I'm trashing them out. But as I've gotten older and I've gotten wiser, you can't use the same tactics on them in retaliation, because there's a huge sensitivity and apathetic narrative that needs to be applied. You know what I mean? Not apathy. Sympathetic and empathetic narrative that needs to be applied as business and as in politics. I don't know, and in branding, I don't know how to help you or myself. But for myself, I know that I can't attack women. I know that I can't disrespect women. I give women the utmost respect.
So let me say something. So you have never had an issue with me being disrespectful towards you, and there's a reason why you have not. You haven't had an issue with me being disrespectful towards you because you haven't been disrespectful towards me. Right? You and I can have a conversation. We can share our views. We can share our beliefs, and it is a conversation that actually produces some results at the end. By the time you and I get through conversating, we done come up with a whole way we can start a movement, a whole nother organization. We actually get results. So the people that you see me online, right, disrespecting are people that I feel have disrespected me. Now, we know Angie. Angie is a firecracker, right? We know Jay. Jay, just like his mama, if not 15 times worse, okay? We know that. So it's not that I am waking up every day saying, hey, I'm just getting ready to disrespect someone. It is someone that tends to disrespect me. Now, what I am saying is this. One thing that I like about what you said that regardless of whatever happens, I'm not going to disrespect a woman. And that is one of the main issues that I am having when I am saying that I do not support, right, my son transitioning. I do not support calling my son my daughter is Black men that identify as women or Black men that believe that they are women disrespecting me. Like when does it become that you feel as though because you are identifying as a woman or you believe that you are a woman that you forget about respecting and protecting women? And that's wrong. And I think that I'm anybody that knows me that knows that
Do you
I
not
have
feel
a problem
protected?
with gays.
Do you not feel protected from Jay?
No. If a son raised his hand at his own mama, how you
Okay, so you're saying
how you supposed to where you get protection out of that? Don't
So for
see the
clarity,
for clarity.
And Shauna, you know what's up, Shauna. You've been around since he was like 9-10 years old. Now you know, for one, you know I love my son, and you know that I have taken very good care of my
remember
children.
when you asked me, I'm sorry to interject, but remember when you asked me a long time ago, you was like, can you take him underneath your wing? Can you at least talk to him? Can you because it was a point where you were so like at wit's end, like 2 pieces of hair on your head, like, because you couldn't understand.
But let me tell you what let me give you guys another perspective when it comes to a parent that's kind of like dealing with this trans issue. So having a son in my home that identifies as a woman and is no longer acting as my son, but acting as if he and I are in some sort of competition is an issue. Okay. Me asking you, son, for example, clean up your room, right? Bitch, I'll clean this motherfucker up when I get ready, and slamming the door is an issue, right? Me coming, taking your door off the hinge because you being disrespectful and you swinging at me and us being in the house fist fighting is an issue, right? Because don't think that in your mind, because you feel like you're a woman, that all of a sudden you're supposed to fight women or you're supposed to fight your own mother. Now, we got to really, really, really deal with these issues. Now, I love my son. I love him, right? I love him. I know that there are issues there. Nobody loves him more than me. But when we start having these conversations and people are trying to paint me as this bad mom that just does not love or accept her son, you have to really, really get into what is going on. Absolutely, Shauna. I came to you, asked you as a friend, would you please talk to my son?
I was like,
wait a minute, because I'm raising him on my own. I don't understand what is happening. I don't know why he is fighting me in my own home. His father is in prison. What did you tell me? You said, Angela, what did you say? So this is not a mother that does not love her son. This is a mother that saying, baby, regardless of however you choose to live your life, you have to respect your mom. Like, Don't just lose your mind with this new identity that you're bringing on. You know, even if you feel like you want to identify with the woman, where does it come into play that you feel like you need to disrespect your mother, fight your own mother, fight your sisters, fight any female? I don't agree with that. I can't support any of my sons being abusive towards women, whether they are gay or straight.
In terms of parenting, right? Like parent to parent, you feel me? So what impact do you feel like mental health plays in terms of you being able to acknowledge, you know what I mean, what your offspring is decisions they making, and you feel me, like you being able to be like, you know, I want them to live a healthy life in terms of mental health. So that's what I'm thinking. Because you know, I'm a parent too. You feel me?
So, right, and as a parent, let's just talk about mental health, because I, again, wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to understand. So I enrolled in school, right, and studied psychology. I have my bachelor's in psychology now, extensively studied personality disorders, gender dysphoria, because I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my baby, right? Because I want to make sure that I'm in the best position to be able to help him, right? And so understanding that it's a situation that's in your mind and not necessarily in your body. So I have done all the parental things as far as gone back and forth to the doctor, gone back and forth to the psychiatrist.
Yeah, but even in terms of like a research though. But like even in terms of that type of research.
In regards to research says that it is a mental health disorder. And listen. I'm the mama, right? Let's just be real for a minute, right? So I'm the mother, right? So I raised him. I knew he had a penis before he did. I knew that he was a male before he did. I raised him as a male with feminine qualities. I knew off the rip that he was different from my other sons, but you are still a male, okay? You're still a male. So my thing is, just because your personality says that you are feminine, that does not mean that you have to spend thousands of dollars on a surgery, begin to transition your body, right, into becoming, right, only presenting yourself as the opposite sex and not actually becoming the opposite sex. So let me tell you where we are now when it comes to mental health. Because of 46 and the Equality Act, they have now banned conversion therapy. So that means that if my son was still an adolescent and I wanted to take him to the doctor, right, to get help for gender dysphoria, that it is now against the law for them to tell my son that he was actually born a male, right? It is against the law for them to tell the truth. Conversion therapy. So it means.
But we talking about research in terms of mental health, right? And it sounds like when you already orient towards disease and pathology. We know that in terms of science, the reason why that's made a law is because the scientists and the doctors understand that the way that gender operates is not through this archaic binary type of way. You feel me? Like what we know now is that there's something people that we identify as intersex. We used to call them hermaphrodite, but we know that's a term. You know, we know that's a slur, right? In this understanding in terms of research, we recognize that people can be misassigned gender at birth. You see what I'm saying?
So again, I got to challenge your whole thought process, because you just talked about people identifying as. I can identify as anything. I can identify as a goat. I can identify as a white woman. I can identify as a billionaire. We can identify as anything, but when we are talking about what is factual is that gender is absolutely related to sex. How do we know that gender is related to sex? Because even if you are going in for gender reassignment surgery, there are only two genders you will be able to choose based off of anatomy. Anatomy states that you have a penis, or you have your beliefs, and I have my beliefs. And my beliefs
in terms of research, like scholar to scholar, parent to parent, how do we discern the facts from the opinions if we able to just say, well, that's my perspective, that's my belief.
The facts
I'm looking at it in terms of intersex.
The facts are that if you are a female, you don't have to have surgery to become.
Do you know what intersex is?
The facts are we're talking about gender. We're not talking about sexual preference, right? Or sexual identity.
Intersex has nothing to do with sexual preferences.
We're talking about
intersex has to do with your chromosomes and literally your genitalia. And what I'm telling you is, in terms of intersex, there are people that have literal ovaries as well as testicles. And what you're saying right now in terms of you're either this or you're that, intersex, the literal existence of the identity, show that's not true. It shows that you can have ovaries and testicles, and you can't say you're a man or a woman. Like it's not that.
So are you a man or a woman?
Am I a man or a woman?
Looking at you, and obviously based off of your ideology, I would never know. Are you a man or a woman? Which one?
I think that I'm a man, but I feel like the point of you asking me the question shows that you don't know my sex. You don't know my sex. You feel me? The difference between sex and gender.
But I can look at you and I know that you're a man, right? I can look at the hair on your face.
But I think you have to ask me, right?
You ready to move on?
I just got one follow-up question. One follow-up question just in terms of clarity. You feel me? When you have conversations with people and you start to disagree, when you say this is my belief, does that mean the conversation is over with because that's your belief and it is what it is?
Well, I'm saying you said the same thing over and over again, and I don't agree with you and I don't believe you. So it's no sense to keep beating on that subject. We might as well go on because I got a pack. So what's up? What's the next question?
I have a question.
Wait, before we get to that question, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Angela Staton-King.
Ms. Angela Staton-King, are you homophobic and or transphobic?
Where do you think that came from?
Once you disrespect me in my house, I'm gonna treat you exactly like you acting. So
do you feel like it's going to continue, or do you feel like it'll get better?
As a mom, this is my child.
It's okay to refer to your child as whatever you want to refer to your child as.
Jay is not a child. Jay is a young adult.
A young adult, right?
I don't give a
listen to my voice.